Turn on all the lights.
Got it. Turning on 23 lights.
This is a TechLens studio that, if I'm being completely honest, is way OP for a channel my size. And although I don't like saying the C word because it's something you ever keep iterating and keep optimizing ever really complete, but it's also in a very good state to show you guys what makes this space both unique and almost perfect for the content that you guys watch here on this channel. So what I'm going to do is cover a few different things in this video. What it was like before I moved in, what it took to get to where it is today, the different stations within the studio, and even how much it costs to turn this space into my ideal YouTube setup. And at the end of this video, I want to talk to you about a couple important updates here on this channel moving forward. So an epic YouTube studio setup that I probably don't deserve. Let me show you. AliExpress has been my go-to retailer for cheaper prices and many popular and extremely unique products. By cutting out the middleman, you can save big on stuff like PC hardware and accessories. Just check out something like this addressable RGB light bar for your PC. With the new user discount, it could be yours for only $3.55 right now with free shipping from China, or get it faster shipped from the US. So to check out the literal millions of products on their store across 13 different categories, including really unique graphics cards the Western market just doesn't get, please follow the sponsor links in the video description. So what I'm going to do is put chapters below for you so that you can skip around a bit, but to truly appreciate what it took to get here, you really need to understand what it was like before this. So let's rewind about a year. This is the same room just over a year ago. Wood paneling on the walls, a shimmery pink brick fireplace, and the world's worst lighting solution for video recording. An ideal situation to basically tear down and start again, which makes the giant blue fluffy drop cloth the previous owners installed really handy. So first things first, the wood paneling. I ripped all that off the walls and had a handyman install a door and sheetrock for the whole room, with new cutouts for hardline Ethernet. And after painting the walls a similar grey to the acoustic panels I wanted to use, I finished a big brick fireplace with some white masonry paint in case we ever wanted to turn this room back into a family room. Next up was the lighting and Ethernet. I found an amazing electrician who I am now honoured to call a friend after how much time that we have spent together. So if you're in the Westchester, even up to New Haven area, I'm going to leave his details in the video description for you. We spent a long time reworking all of the lighting for the room, while also installing new Philips Hue spotlights for both the brick wall and what was soon to be the 3D wall. Although this many Hue devices really did break the bank, this allows me to easily set the optimal lighting for whatever recording situation I need, including effects for both the 3D and brick wall. So a very worthwhile investment. But the investment that had the biggest impact by far was the acoustic paneling. Although the hexagons on the walls and the square panels on the ceiling are not technically the optimal for sound treatment, that would have been wedge foam, I decided to go for them regardless, as I was committed to covering every square inch possible with these panels, and they needed to fit the aesthetics of the room. But after attaching all of them with gel tape to offset them from the wall and increase their effectiveness, the result is this. Okay, so we are just outside the studio, and the echo from this hallway is probably not as bad as what the studio was before the acoustic panels. So we're going to do a test and listen to how it sounds walking into the studio. So testing, 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 testing. That is exceptional. Honestly, I still struggle with audio, but these panels have been the biggest impact over anything else. Then, after replacing the blue carpet with something much more modern and tidying up some loose ends like covering the seams of the acoustic panels around the HVAC duct, the room is basically complete. But the room itself is only really half the story, so let me show you guys the four main areas of the TechLens studio before I cover what's left and how much it all cost. So for the first time, you guys are actually going to see what I see. So let's start with A-roll. And this is what I see. So we have a big 27-inch monitor there that's pretty color accurate. Now the reason why we have that is because we have one of our Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K cameras in that teleprompter. About half of what I do is with a teleprompter, about the other half isn't. I can basically monitor myself while I'm recording 24/7. It's really useful, especially for audio levels to do that. So I do actually mix in a second camera, which is right there. And this Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera also gets its own monitor right there. So that's essentially what I see. But to be able to control both of these cameras simultaneously, we have the iPad that will control both of the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema cameras simultaneously, incredibly time accurate. So to start recording, once I'm all set up, all that I need to do is hit record right there. So this camera will start recording and this camera will start recording as well. But I don't just use those two cameras. I'll also use, say, like a phone camera right here if I need to record something at a different angle, but it doesn't need to be as high fidelity as the Blackmagics. So that's where guys like this come in. But to control this guy, we've got a touchscreen monitor down here plugged into it. So that's sending both video back and I guess touch input over to the phone. It's also charging the phone simultaneously. But I can set up the scene and just hit record there, which makes this section really a control center for video recording. So what I tried to do is look for a quartz countertop which was within a decent budget, even if it was a remnants piece that could just be cut to size to place on top of this up desk. But I wasn't really finding anything. This is Carrera vinyl tile, originally intended to be on a floor or a wall. I think this is a great design, was very cheap and very easy to clean. And it is on top of this Flexi Spot up desk. I don't even really remember the model. It's the one with the highest load capacity because this is a big wood butcher block, but it easily supports the weight going down. And that's so useful for recording B-roll because I can just raise or lower the desk depending on what my needs are. And then just send it back to position 2, which is where I record. So then over here, we have the overhead camera set up right there. We're actually using the camera that is my overhead camera at the moment, so that's why it looks a bit weird. I'm also testing out a few different audio solutions because it'd be nice to go lav free and have something close to me, but that's something to figure out another day. And then to power this whole setup, we've got a surge protector up there that runs along the ceiling. Now this is one of my favorite implementations for this entire studio. These are pretty expensive pop-up outlets, originally designed to be in a desk, but I decided let's reinforce them and put them in the ceiling. The reason why I chose these, there are cheaper alternatives, is we only have about 8 inches between the ceiling here and the floor above. So this was one of the ones that actually fit within this section. So I'll show you how that works now. Funnily enough, they both have Qi charging, but 3 guesses as to why that won't work. So this is a power adapter for one of the Blackmagics, which means that I get to keep a lot of cables off the floor, which means that I trip on them less. So right here, pop-up outlet, shove it back in the ceiling. That's a bit of a better scenario right there. And then there are my outlets. So all in all, that's pretty much what A-roll does and how that looks, how it operates. And I think it's a really optimal solution for what I do. Everything's easily controlled in one location. I really, really like this section. So now that we've covered the main recording station, let's go over the editing station. Okay, so going this way down A-roll, I need to figure out a better solution for that shelf. Probably gonna wall mount it at some point. We come to the editing station. Now, this is where I actually spend most of my time. I probably spend more time editing or writing scripts, etc., sat right there. So the reason why it's set up like this at the moment is because we actually do a monthly GPU crisis update, which is why the camera that you guys saw right there has been stolen, essentially, to be placed right there once the autofocus kicks in. So this is the editing system. We have a 34-inch ultra wide right in the middle. That's where I do most of my editing. We've got huge timeline because of the ultra wide monitor. And then we have a 16:9 4K monitor on the left. Now the reason why that's been so useful, especially with the monthly GPU crisis update videos, I do live screen capture on there. And it's really handy to be able to do that on the editing system live while I talk to you, being recorded from that camera and monitoring it using this monitor. So for the computer itself, I actually did a video on it a while back. I'll leave that in the video description for you, but there have been a few updates since. I did change out the liquid cooler to an EK 280mm, not because there was anything wrong with the Arctic one, I just needed it for testing. And what else? Oh, 128 gigs of memory I added in there, because when I was rendering with Premiere Pro, it was sucking back everything that I could give it. So I thought, you know what? Let's just max out the memory for this motherboard. The motherboard being the X570 Creator from ASRock with dual Thunderbolt 3 and 10 gig Ethernet. We also have an MSI Gaming Z Trio 3080, but this computer, albeit very, very powerful and very, very expensive, is not the star of the show. The star of the show is this thing. Everything is so well integrated. We have fingerprint readers. We have SSD sleds for my camera. This is the best, most optimized desk. I actually did a video a while back explaining everything about this desk and what makes it so unique and cool. So I'm gonna leave that in the video description for you, but it is definitely one to check out if you want to take your setup to the next level. Next up, let me show you where most of the testing gets done here on the channel before we go over the gaming station. So following on from A-Roll, if we take a look down this storage space, this is a new addition, it's very nice to have storage, but we have the test bench on the other side. Right now I'm currently doing some testing of Arctic coolers, basically every cooler that they make, to try and figure out what CPUs will work with what coolers. So that should be quite an exciting video coming up. But we have on the test bench at the moment 5900X Arctic Freezer 34 Esports Duo, 6600 XT from ASRock, that is a beautiful card, on an Asus TUF X570. And it's all on top of the open test bench that my friend Jim from No Nonsense PC actually encouraged me to buy, which was a great purchase. But this is the test bench setup. Again, it's an updesk. This one's actually FlexiSpot 2. They haven't sponsored a video, nor are they a sponsor or anything, but they actually make pretty good standing desks. I've got 3 FlexiSpots and 2 Tech Orbits. The FlexiSpots are significantly better made. Bear that in mind. So for testing, we have an Asus 4K monitor so that I can test every resolution. I also do a lot of screen capture, so 4K 60 is ideal because that's what I output. So other than that, there's not really too much to say about the test bench area. It is pretty optimal and I really enjoy testing there. So the last of the 4 stations, but in no way the least, let's go over the gaming station before I tell you how much all of this cost. Opposite the A-Roll station, we have the gaming station. Now this definitely isn't complete at the moment. It's on its way there. There's a few things that really need to happen for me to call it complete, like desk upgrades. This might be a whole streaming setup. We need extra monitors. The keyboard and mouse are only temporary. Don't worry about those at the moment. I'm thinking about the GMMK Pro custom keyboard. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. But the specs on it is a 5800X RTX 3080 and 32 gigs of memory in the now discontinued Encase M1, which I'm very sad about. And if this is the first time that you've heard that, I apologize to be the one to break it to you. But we have the TechLens custom Encase M1 side panel. I will be discontinuing those soon as well. But the question that you may ask is, why do I have this gaming PC, this setup, literally, what's that, 6 feet away from a gaming PC that's actually more powerful than my gaming PC? Well, there's a couple different reasons. Reason number 1 is Adobe Premiere Pro is a crashy mess. If anything goes wrong on this PC, that's fine. That can be out of commission for a week, 2 weeks, whatever. If anything goes wrong on the editing PC, that's a problem. So I needed to separate gaming from editing. And other things like testing out Windows 11. Again, I can't have any issues with the production machine. So the gaming PC is kind of the guinea pig for it all. So definitely expect more videos about this station, maybe the streaming setup that goes on. We're gonna have a lot of fun here. This is going to be an epic setup when it's done. So you're probably wondering what's left to do and how much did all of this cost? Well, the only things left are relatively minor. We're talking painting a door, installing a door handle, wall mounting a shelf, and for those of you wondering what that ominous black hole was in the 3D wall, that's actually the return for my house's heating system, so I'm probably going to just white mesh over that. But in terms of cost, that's actually the scary part, and I'm going to list a couple of the bigger ticket items right here. We have drywall and door installation at $1,300, not too bad considering the work that was actually involved. The lighting, well, the floodlights behind me and over there, the 3D wall, they were $50 a bulb and there's 10 of them. Plus the 9 main lights, 4 hue switches. The 9 main lights were $35 a piece. The 4 hue switches were $25 a piece. That ends up being about $915 in Philips Hue equipment. You are welcome, Philips. My electrician's labor, I have no idea how much that costs, to be honest, because he did a lot of other work around the house. Maybe about another $1,500 in this room alone, which covers a whole new circuit for the lighting, Ethernet, tons of other stuff. The acoustic panels all around this room, that's about $1,500. The carpet was about $800. 3D panels around $300-ish. Add several $100s for paint, supplies, outlets, lighting cans, the pop-up outlets, and we're in the neighborhood of about $7 grand before you take into account any equipment, desks, computers, which could be well over 20 grand. Bear in mind the cameras in this room alone are probably around the $5 grand mark. That's not including the editing or gaming PC or the test system. And literally just hearing that and reading out this list makes me a little bit sad inside, but I know what a lot of you must be thinking right about now. Clearly I'm just swimming in cash. Well, no. Almost everything that I've made on this channel has been invested right back into it. And I think the quality has really been improving at such a fast rate. I legitimately get so embarrassed about content that I've made only a few short months ago, which is kind of funny because I remember feeling incredibly proud of it when I uploaded it. But essentially, I don't want to lose that momentum. In fact, I want to keep going and feel more embarrassed because it's one of the ways that I know that I'm going in the right direction, which brings me onto the changes here on the channel. I've personally always been opposed to implementing mid-roll ads. You know the ones, not the sponsor integrations at the beginning of the content.
And this is a message from our sponsor. Thank you, Smart Deploy.
We're talking the ones that you can't skip right in the middle of the content.
And in German, it's pronounced.
Critics can't get enough of Disney's Encanto.
The creator is the person who chooses whether or not to add them. And as someone who is a subscriber of other people's content, they annoy me. Which means, at least the way that I see it, it's pretty hypocritical of me to think that you'll all just be okay if I just started implementing them without telling you guys. But I have also recently lost a pretty important revenue stream here on the channel, and I don't want the content that I make for you guys to suffer because of this. Nevertheless, I think there's a very simple and happy medium that just makes so much sense. How would you feel if I did something like implement mid-roll ads only on videos that are about a week old? This means that if you're an active subscriber, you probably won't see any mid-roll ads if you keep up to date with the channel, but new viewers who aren't subscribed likely will unless they're watching the latest video. Ultimately, this means that you guys won't get penalized for enjoying TechLens content, but it also means that this channel can continue to grow and produce better videos for you guys because of it. Essentially, I'm trying to find a middle ground here, so let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I am genuinely interested. Otherwise, while you're down there, feel free to drop any suggestions for the studio. Subscribe for more TechLens content and potentially no mid-roll ads. Otherwise, a like is always appreciated, and thank you very much for watching.